Our next session is an awe-inspiring story about the power of collaboration. We were all talking about collaboration a lot yesterday. So please welcome to the stage Ben Winslow, senior reporter of Fox 13 News and Great Salt Lake Collaborative, and Amy Maestas, the director of collaboratives at Solutions Journalism Network. You guys ready? You can go on up. Oops, sorry.
Good morning. We're here, as was just said, to tell an inspiring story about journalists collaborating, not only with each other, but among the communities and audiences that they serve. The collaboratives that are funded by the Solutions Journalism Network is under the Local Media Project, which is a 5-year or multi-year initiative funded by the Knight Foundation and the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation, which has charged SJN to bring together 15 collaboratives in the U.S. to cover a specific topic in a specific place that is a brings together the journalists from different platforms, digital, print, radio, television, to cover a single topic for 2 years, working together to break down walls of competition and to bring in community and civic organizations, not those that are political, but those that can help tell the story of a particular subject that each collaborative has selected. Our collaboratives are not prescriptive. They rely completely on what each collaborative area, the topic that they have selected, to engage their audiences, to use new technology to tell these stories. And in Salt Lake City, the chosen topic is the shrinking Great Salt Lake. The video and the images you are seeing here are a combination of story reporting together with journalists working on stories together, rallies, and most especially the shrinking Great Salt Lake. You can see the issue and why it's important. Ben will talk about his participation.
Yeah, so the Great Salt Lake has dropped to its lowest point in recorded history since the state was founded back in 1847 when they started recording the levels. It's a result of a number of factors. There's water diversion, there's drought, and of course the changing climate. It's not hyperbole to say that the threats are existential. One of the naturally occurring minerals in the lake bed is arsenic. We have toxic dust storms, and the climate scientists we've talked to have said, oh, it won't kill you right away, but give it 20 or 30 years and you might have like a new form of cancer. So it's just something to be aware of. We have reduced snowpack, which affects our economy and our water supply. Ski Utah, the greatest snow on earth, that's kind of important to us. So when this dust hits the snow, it can speed the snow melt faster. Less water, less snow, that's a multi-billion-dollar economy. There's harms to public health, there's wildlife. The Great Salt Lake is an important migratory bird refuge globally. So the situation presents a real threat to our state, and we are one of the fastest growing states in the nation, so it is significant, and there's no easy answers. When you say, well, just get more water into the lake, well, one of the issues is that triggers a multitude of questions about how you handle growth, development, how you handle just getting water supplies, increasing demands, and stress for all of that, and just the multitude that it is. So there's no real easy answers, which is why it's great that we're working on these solutions.
The collaborative, the Great Salt Lake Collaborative has 20 partners. They include not just news organizations, but also such thing as higher education environmental institutes. There are a couple of dance groups that have done some dance performances based on the journalism that the Great Salt Lake Collaborative has done about the lake, and they have engaged new audiences that they individually would not have engaged. So the collective wisdom and the collective working together has reached people to not only care about the lake, but they are learning about what's being done to address the problems with the lake and what they can do themselves. And they're doing it through a solutions lens. And we often say that solutions journalism is accountability journalism. As people learn about what can be done, who's done it better, who's gone elsewhere, Ben will talk about some of the places and the reporting trips he has done about that. They can then have enough agency to be participants and informed citizens to hold the policymakers, the legislature, people around them who have the power to make changes, hold them accountable.
So I'm going to admit that I was really skeptical of solutions journalism when it was first presented to me, because I viewed it as activism and advocacy, which is stuff that, as journalists we're told, you don't do. But the Great Salt Lake is such a pressing issue for my community that, we needed to keep people informed. People need to know what's happening with the lake and how it impacts them in their daily lives. And quite frankly, one news outlet can't do it alone. I work for a TV station in Salt Lake City, but not everybody watches my station. So the Great Salt Lake Collaborative has been great about that. We got into solutions journalism and pointing out potential solutions that can help people, things that people can do, things that other communities have done that might work or might not work for our community. The Great Salt Lake Collaborative is fantastic because it spans audiences by reaching people through a multitude of platforms. And as we said, one outlet can't do it alone. We've really put aside a lot of our competitive rivalries because we believe the public is better informed if we're all focusing on the same issue. We share each other's work. I work for the Fox affiliate in Salt Lake City, and as I mentioned, not everybody watches my station. But my work has also appeared on the NBC affiliate, the community radio station KRCL. I've had my work republished in the Ogden Standard Examiner, the Salt Lake Tribune, the Deseret News, NPR affiliate KUER, et cetera, because people aren't exactly watching my station, or they're maybe not watching or reading another one, and it's vice versa. It works all the way around, but my reporting, they get our reporting, they get my reporting, I get their reporting. We've repurposed each other's stories to inform our respective audiences. And this is another thing that I really like about this. We've been able to pool our resources and do some special reporting. So I went recently to Las Vegas with Utah Public Radio's Sherry Quinn, Salt Lake Tribune photographer Trent Nelson, and the photographer with me, Eric Brown, and we went to Las Vegas. It's a community that has some very, very strict landscaping laws because of their water crises. We did a series of reports on what they're doing. Could that work for our community as we deal with landscaping and people using lawns or using water in a very arid state with the love of grass that we do have? It was a great solutions journalism type story. We've been able to go to California, the collaborative, and look at the dried out lakes there. What can people expect if they don't make changes? It also, being a part of the collaborative, opens doors and creates access. I went as a one-man band to Israel with a state delegation. The collaborative was able to negotiate for a seat with state leaders as they went to Israel to look at how that country went from a nation of water scarcity to a nation of water surplus. Could some of the policies that Israeli government officials have enacted work for us? And in that situation, it wasn't just we were all doing our own individual broadcast print type stories. It was I did the print, I did the broadcast, I did the digital, provided my interviews to other stations if they wanted to use those. Photographs that I took went to the digital and print outlets for them to use as they needed. So it's been great for that. And we also leverage our respective beats. So for example, I cover Capitol Hill in Utah. I cover politics. So I have a lot of experience talking to government officials and breaking down budget reports or looking into bill filings and the impacts of those policies. I'm not an environmental reporter normally. I kind of feel like I am now, but I'm not traditionally. But I'm able to leverage what I have from Utah's Capitol Hill and give that to the collaborative so that other reporters can also use that. I work with some fantastic environmental reporters. I think of the Salt Lake Tribune's Leah Larson, Amy Joey O'Donoghue at the Deseret News. They are more attuned to environmental issues and things like that. So it's been great because we can combine our experiences. We can combine our expertise to tell a better story and to collaborate truly. This week, interestingly enough, I found an audit footnote that estimates, you see some of the exposed lake beds here. Dust mitigation in Utah, the legislative auditor general found starting cost for dust mitigation would be $1.5 billion with $15 million annual costs year after year after year, and the cost skyrockets the more lake bed is exposed. It was a story I was able to contribute to the collaborative and obviously inform more people about the very real risks that we have and why we should address those. I will say on the collaborative, it's not always perfect. Sometimes we feel like some of us do more than others, and but we still compete too. I want you to know, we don't just end the rivalries or anything like that. We're still competitive, but it is really nice to know that we have each other's backs and that we're all working toward a common goal, which is to inform Utahns about the situation facing the Great Salt Lake.
The impact of the collaborative has been swift. Since it started in 2022, the legislature over 2 sessions has allotted $1 billion over those 2 legislative sessions to address problems with the lake and solutions to it. Much of it influenced by the reporting that the collaborative has done together, because they've been able to do much more than one news outlet alone can do. That's the unique model that we have with our collaboratives, is not every news organization needs to go it alone, and they can't. They cannot be complete in their storytelling of it. The collaborative, the project manager, Heather May of the collaborative, this year has secured $100,000 in additional funding for the collaborative to continue beyond 2 years with the SJN Local Media Project. And it has reached audiences that it never did before. Some of those are communities of color, and in one instance, young people. The journalism that the collaborative has done inspired a grant from the state to take the stories and turn it into curriculum to teach 5th grade students in public schools. So those audiences, it's even gotten younger because they're learning now about what's happening to the lake and the future generations, what they can do to address it. And Ben can share a couple of instances about what he hears from the public.
Yeah, and it is really great. The nice thing about this is the public is reacting. We have some public opinion surveying that shows 80% of Utahns care about the Great Salt Lake and its future and what happens to it. I did a story recently. We can see these boots on the ground impact of. I did a story recently about a new drought-friendly grass blend that has been created, and doing the story, the publicity made it a hit. It sold out, and it's been selling out. They're now on their 2nd year. They're going into their 3rd year. And people want this stuff. And that's kind of a nice feather in your cap, because you're like, hey, I did a story and it got a lot of reaction. People actually went and made a change, a positive change for them and for the environment. I volunteer for the collaborative at the downtown Salt Lake City Farmers Market. So it's really nice to hear from people directly also. When you're just sitting there manning a booth and handing out stickers, which I brought for people if you want some too, about how much they appreciate the work. People are paying attention, and it is motivating them to make changes both in their individual daily lives, but they also like to tell me how much they disagree with our legislature and our political leaders about the actions that they're taking. And that's also great too, because you kind of get that first person from people about what they're feeling. And people have given me questions that I can take to political leaders and ask and get answers, and kind of follow up with people in the broader audience sense of letting them know, we are taking your questions to political leaders to try to hold them accountable, to find out the policies that they're enacting and how they impact you.
You can find more about our collaboratives on SJN's website, and you can find more about the Great Salt Lake Collaborative at greatsaltlakenews.org. They have an excellent newsletter that is sent out every week that shares not only the stories that they've done, but how they're working together. And they're constantly sharing not only the work that they've done, but the culture change in newsrooms, having broken down the competition among the news partners and how the community is involved. And you can find Ben for a sticker that has the Great Salt Lake Collaborative mascot, which is a brine shrimp. Thank you.
Save the brine shrimp.
And Ben gets one more huge round of applause. We need to celebrate you, Ben, because Ben, along with the rest of the Great Salt Lake Collaborative crew, just won Excellence in Collaboration and Partnership Award online from the Online News Association. So congratulations. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good stuff, guys. Really good stuff.